Hi, my name's Andrew McGill and I'm here to talk about the film Suffering. As a director, you've got to be able to see the story, to be able to envision how a character might speak, the way they walk, how they interact with other characters, or how they behave within a certain space. You've got to be able to articulate your vision. Otherwise, no one's going to be able to understand what you're trying to do or say with the piece, and it creates chaos. You can't work in that sort of environment. When you're writing the words or when you're reading the words in the script, you've got to be able to see what is happening within that frame. Working with actors on this new film has been one of the best experiences that I've had so far. It's allowed me to really understand the method, the art, and the process of acting, and being able for a person to enter another person's life and depict emotions based on what they're experiencing at that time. It's given me a greater insight into actual human condition and human behaviour. Almost allowing an actor and trusting an actor to be able to enter this character's mind throughout the story is something that's it's very challenging, but it's also very rewarding when you can see where your trust gets your actors and what work and performances that they can get from your direction as a filmmaker. At first, I thought that Suffering was a short film. That's the practice I'm in, but I could see it having a life after this into a feature-length film. However, I could actually see it being more successful and more popular on a program like BBC or ITV, or it could sit nicely on Netflix. I see this story more as a mini drama, a procedural police drama, where we follow Mary, the character, as she enters all these different worlds of crime and violence and hate, and she's got to solve these crimes. So I feel like it's a very strong female character to follow, a very interesting one, and I feel like it will resonate and connect with an audience. A major inspiration on my life over the last few years has been an American rapper called J. Cole. He discusses so many social inequalities within the African American community, the political powers that oppress the lower working classes and the minorities, and the hope that some people can have to try and make this world a little bit better. And he has a song called Love Yours, but the chorus has a line which I think is very relevant. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. This connected with me very much on this film. This film is all about not knowing what goes on behind closed doors when it comes to domestic abuse. People thinking on the outside that a marriage or a relationship can be perfectly fine, and then as soon as that door closes, we have no idea what's really happening with those people or the effects that it has on other family members or loved ones. So I think this film is really me about sort of exploring worlds that I don't understand. So being able to sort of explore the worlds of these people who suffer silently and in the shadows, it's something I wanted to bring light to, and to explore, and to show that people always go through bad times, but there's always hope. Film is a platform. It's a chance for anyone with any kind of worldview, any idea, any thought that you might have on any kind of aspect on life. It's an opportunity for you to express your thoughts, your opinions, and to hopefully engage and create a reaction from your audience. Not to convince them that you are right, but in order to give them a different perspective as to what they might have thought about an idea or a thought or a philosophy. Filmmaking is purely storytelling. Through the script, through the camera work, all the way through to the lighting, set design, makeup, every head of department has a story to tell. Via the character, via the mise-en-scène, regardless of what people might think of as importance, everyone's there to reach the same goal, to tell the same story. The filmmakers that inspire me are ones with ambitious visions, bold storytelling techniques, particularly ones that treat an audience with respect and intellect that they deserve. Far too many filmmakers adhere and crowd please. Particular directors that have inspired me during the course are Chris Nolan, Stanley Kubrick, and Quentin Tarantino. Nolan in particular, we'll talk about film Inception. one talking about a bold idea, a bold film, and one that's not afraid to test an audience's
expectations,
allowing them to interpret the film or the film's ending and messages into one that can be relatable and satisfy them. There's something about film that really intrigues me about leaving things open-ended. So an ending not being resolved allows an audience to then take the information that they've been given, the experience that they've just gone through, and allow them to connect to some kind of closure with the character or a story that they feel is appropriate and something that can resonate within them as humans. I have an analogy for cinema at the moment. It's you know when you have a baby and they're in their crib and you've got their mobile with all the toys and they're just catching that. That's how I see film at the moment. The audiences are the babies in the cribs, just trying to reach the next new shiny thing. Whether it's through the Marvel franchise or a DC, that's not storytelling. That's just distraction. And I feel that TV has actually taken over cinema in a lot of ways. People always thought that the 60s were the golden ages of television. It's just, you know, on reflection, it's just now we're in the golden age of television. Breaking Bad, True Detective, Sons of Anarchy, obviously Game of Thrones. It's not a competition anymore. The sound design in films can be taken for granted. It makes your film, it's half of the film, especially in this film Suffering, dealing with domestic abuse. The sound design is what's really going to give a pulse to the story. Without being able to necessarily hear an internal emotion, you can do that via sound design and being able to manipulate the audience into feeling a certain way for this character based purely on sound. Soundtrack, music design, it's all storytelling. So it's something that we've been trying to focus on much more as of late. And I think that these practices have really helped develop our film. So coming to university has given me a new perspective on education. I've never thrived in the educational system, whether it be consciously or not. I appeared to be showing signs of rebellion against the school curriculum, being assessed as a person, as mental capability, as an intellect, being judged on paper next to a number. That can destroy someone. Without being able to have the right opportunities to show where you excel, to show your talents, to show what you can really do and how you can impact the world. School doesn't do that. University had given me the new perspective on that. So it's a very good experience that I've had here. And it's also enabled me to become a filmmaker in my own right and try and brand myself and know who I am as a person. One of the biggest challenges for me was making that transition from a film student into a filmmaker. Taking yourself seriously as a practitioner within your craft, practicing your craft and learning to perfect it. With the work and the teamwork of other people around you, you really start to come into your own as a practitioner, as a storyteller, as an artist. Taking form as an artist is something I'm very pleased about. I feel that my work has got a new layer of depth, more meaning and way more ambitious than I ever thought that I could be. One of the biggest problems I've faced so far is the transition from a film student into a filmmaker. Having the courage to be able to call yourself an artist or a filmmaker or a storyteller is a step that everyone needs to take. An artist may feel the responsibility to represent the world in a particular way, whether that be in a realist approach or formalist approach, whether they have a certain biased opinion on political aspects, environmental issues. It's something that an artist must be able to engage with. If they're not saying anything in their work or in their art, then I don't quite see the point in it. An artist, they want to represent aspects of a life in a frame, or on their canvas or on a record. It can help them understand the world and potentially maybe discover what their significance within that world can be. My next project is an idea that I've come up with. It's an original concept called Glass Smile. It's following a character who has developed the technology where he can eradicate people's emotional pain. So if someone has been through a traumatic experience, whether that be a car crash, whether it be a sexual assault, this man has the technology to heal a person. Whether this is the right course of action or where we can see this technology going is up for the audience debate. But I just find it very interesting how we deal with emotional pain, and how it would be very interesting to see what type of society would welcome and incorporate this technology into their everyday life. It could be very dangerous. So yeah, that's going to be in production at the end of June. So that's what I'm really looking forward to next, just in the pre-production stage. And this is just going to be better than anything I've ever done before.